This year, our conference is themed Gas, the Road to Economic Recovery. The theme underscores the critical role gas will play in revitalizing Nigeria's economy, creating jobs and delivering energy solutions that will transform industries, communities, and lives.
Straight to the fourth and the final session, Auto, Agro, and alternate gas-powered applications. That is session 4. And once session 4 is out of the way, we'll have the vote of thanks and closing remarks, after which I will make announcements as to how the exhibition tour will take place. And once that is done, we will proceed to have our meals. Thank you very much, gentlemen and lady, as you go back to your seats. Thank you very much for adding your voices to the conversation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the fourth and final session for day 2 of the NLCGA conference, please make welcome our first panelist, the Managing Director, Rain Oil Gas Limited, Mr. Emmanuel Umujine. Round of applause for him as he takes the stage. A round of applause for him as he takes the stage. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. You're most welcome. MD Rain Oil Gas Limited, Mr. Emmanuel Umujine. Just right in the middle will be fine. And ladies and gentlemen, representing the CEO of Portland Gas Limited, Mr. Folajimi Mohammed, we have the COO, Michelle Ejiofor. A round of applause for her as she joins Mr. Umujine on stage. Thank you very much, ma'am. You're most welcome. It is an honor to have you with us today. Right beside him will just be fine. No, this way, yes. But on his left. Thank you very much, ma'am. You're most welcome. And yes, our speaker for this panel session is none other than the Group General Manager, ASICO Energy, Busayo Fabumi. Round of applause for him as he joins the rest of the panelists on stage. Beside Mr. Umujine will just be fine on his right-hand side. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the full complement of the panel as of this minute. To drive the conversation for this panel session, I have the singular honor of introducing the moderator, CEO, Strategic Energy and past President, NLCGA, Mr. Adedayo Adesina. Round of applause for him. Sir, it is a long walk from where you are. I want you to sit right here. Thank you very much, sir. You're most welcome. It's always an honor to have you contribute to these conversations. All right, ladies and gentlemen, panel session starts right about now. Auto, Agro, and alternate gas-powered applications. To start the session, we'll have a short presentation, and that will be delivered by the Group General Manager, ASICO Energy, Busayo Fabumi. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I understand that some of us are tired already, and we are just looking forward to have the lunch and find our ways out. But I would like you to just give me like 5 to 7 minutes of your time. I would like to have your attention. Mr. President, the Deputy President, Vice President 1 and 2, please permit me to stand on the existing protocol while I just move into my presentation. And then once again, permit me to use this, our defunct logo, for this last time. I promise the next time I will move on to the NLCGA logo. My job here is very simple. It's just to stir up the conversation for this panelist and this group of discussants. I will be looking at the gas-powered agro, auto, and alternative application. You will agree with me that it will be unfair for us to conclude the conversation on the road to economic recovery without touching on the agriculture and then a little bit more on the transportation side. So I've put together here a few slides to touch on this. We're going to look at ways whereby we can leverage gas energy efficiency in driving innovation and then also sustaining the economic recovery. So one thing is for you to have achieved the economic recovery, and another thing is for you to be able to sustain it, so that you don't just keep going up and down. Okay, we'll be looking at the current energy mix. Next slide. We'll be looking at the current energy mix, and then we'll see the potentials for gas. So we're going to see the potential for gas, and then we're going to be looking at the benefit of gas-powered technology. So we want the economic recovery to be driven by some gas-powered technology. And why are we so focused on the gas-powered technology? For obvious reasons: improve efficiency and productivity, reduce greenhouse gas emission. Keep talking about ozone layer depletion, global warming, and what have you. Support economic recovery and growth, enhance energy security and sustainability. And when you look at the chart to your right, you will see the energy mix. You will see where the natural gas sits presently, and then you will see the oil, you will see the hydro, and then you will see the traditional fuel. So in the traditional solid fuel, that's where your charcoal, your firewood, and every other traditional solid fuel sits. So this data was put together sometimes, I think, in 2022. But what we have currently, I believe, is not far fetched from this. Next slide, please. So deep diving into agriculture right now. So we have seen a lot of application in the agricultural sector. So there are irrigation systems that are being powered by gas engines. So you have a situation whereby you have your farm in the remotest area, whereby you cannot get the grid or the electricity to the farm. So you have this gas-fired engine that's mobile that you can tow to the farm and then get them to power your irrigation system. Then you can see at the center the tractor that is being powered by propane gas. Also at the extreme end, you will see the propane power grain dryer. So away from the traditional system of smoking the fish with charcoal, firewood, briquettes, and the rest, there are cleaner ways of doing it. And one of them is powering your grain dryer, powering your fish smoking process with gas. And then some countries that have implemented this, this case study of India that has experienced 30% increase in crop yield, and then also Brazil that has experienced 50% in agricultural GDP. That was between 2015 and then 2020. And what that enables you to do is to be able to, preserve your product during the heavy harvest. So we have seen situations whereby there are a lot of yield loss during the heavy harvest. So there is this time of the year when the harvest is heavy, and you recover. You get products from your farm that are way beyond the current demand. And what tends to happen is over a period of time, you lose a lot of them to waste. So I stumbled onto a data sometimes last week that says that the waste that we experience during the heavy harvest of tomato is about 6.2 million tons globally, and those are the ones that were recorded. Obviously, there will be some other ones that are not recorded. Next slide, please. Okay, so speaking to the preservation, especially for remote application, most of these huge farmlands are usually remote. They are completely cut away from the national grid supply and the rest. So there is this cold room that are gas fired. I'm sure a lot of us must have seen it during the tour yesterday, during the conference tour yesterday. There's this cold room that is a gas technology that has been put together to address these wastages in terms of preserving our product during the heavy harvest. So a whole lot of them have been applied for vegetables, for fruits, for tomatoes. You could see in the second picture right there, and being powered with a vapor absorption chiller that are direct fired. So what they do is that they take in the gas, and then in the glow system, they fire up an ammonia system and then run it through an heat exchanger that produce the cooling effect through the evaporator in the confined space refrigerating your product. So part of the application is food processing and storage, pharmaceutical and medical, chemical and industrial storage, agricultural produce storage, then cold chain supply. So beyond agriculture, there are people that are into cold chain supply that can also adopt this in their within their cluster. And this has been seen to have given energy efficiency of up to 30% for off-grid solution, lower operating costs, reliable and consistent temperature control. Next slide, please. Okay, so we've gotten to a level now where we need to drive more efficiency. Where we need to achieve a better efficiency in our distribution businesses, in our logistics. Looking at the way the price of diesel keep going up and all that, there has to be an alternative application through which that distribution cost can be brought down for you to open up your margin. So one of the ways is to try to migrate from diesel-fired engine for haulage to gas-fired engine. So the picture you see up there is an LNG-driven vehicle, LNG-fired vehicle. Then the other one is CNG-fired vehicle. A lot of us must have probably seen this before. So the whole idea is that with this, you can drive your savings to about 30%, shy of 30%. It used to be 45-50%, especially running on CNG, but lately it's just shy of 30%. So you'll be able to achieve that. Then you achieve 25% reduction in transportation costs. Overall, having achieved reduction in your cost, you are going to achieve that in your transportation cost as well. Then improve air quality, public health, 50% increase in natural gas vehicle has been experienced, globally within 2015 and 2020. In Nigeria, you've seen the advocacy for conversion to CNG, to auto gas, propane-fired vehicle and all that. So, lately we've seen close to about 50% increase globally. And therefore, reduction in transportation emission is also been greater than 20%. You have this your NOxes, your particulate matters that comes from the emission. So that has also gone down. Next slide, please. Okay. Then beyond the general knowledge that you use gas to fire industrial boilers. When you go to factories, you see boiler, they are common. You see boilers that run on gas. Beyond that, there are gas-fired water heaters as well that are meant for domestic application, hospital, hotel, that can be installed, in a single location. They reticulate to serve a section of the building, and their applications can be seen in laundry businesses. I'm sure the one on the left, majority of us must have seen that storage water heater is more prominent maybe in the Europe. So one of the advantage of this is that it requires low power. So it purely runs on gas and it's instantaneous. So when you need it, you turn on your tap, the flow of the tap starts up the water heater and gives you the hot water that you use in your bedroom. It needs no power, just the gas. The water heater electrocution was said to be very severe and potentially fatal. The United States Consumer Product Service Commission had said that annually about 400 people die of water heater electrocution. Because when you are bathing under the shower, majority of your surface area is exposed. And then when electrocution happens, we are talking about a current of about 5 to 10 amps. So in most cases, it's usually fatal. So this cuts all of that out. The panic, the risk of being exposed to such electrocution or shock is gone. Then, like I said, it can be installed indoor or outdoor, unlike the conventional electric one that has to be indoor, away from the direct, rainfall. Then low gas consumption, modular installation. If you install the first one and over a period of time you feel like it's no longer sufficient for your consumption, you can add other ones to it as your business, grow and expand. Next slide, please. Okay. we need to talk a bit more on this, and then this goes beyond just powering our individual homes. It has to be a conversation that is a bit more holistic and that concerns the power provision for the entire country. So we have seen, I saw what Germany did with their power generation and transmission. They were able to achieve 25% efficiency. So some panels before now have spoken about gas pricing, indexes and all that. Whatever we need to do to achieve, to drive our own efficiency to this level, in power generation and transmission and distribution, everything. I'm talking about the grid, we all know what has been happening to the grid lately. Whatever we need to do, any system that we need to develop or to adopt, to drive this, we've got to look at that as we move on the road to economic recovery. Industrial processes, 30% energy savings in South Korea. So gas application is not just about getting the environmental results and all that. It's also about driving efficiency. Then China also saw 15% increase in industrial productivity due to gas power application. So there are a whole lot of these applications, ranges in sizes. We must have seen some of the engines being displayed in the exhibition booths that already provide this technology. So in summary, I would say that gas power technology can transform industry and drive sustainability. Cost savings and emission reduction are significant. Nigeria can learn from global success stories. What I said earlier on. Call to action. More things that we need to do. Invest in gas infrastructure and technologies. Support policy framework for gas development. Collaborate with industry stakeholders for sustainable growth. So right now, I will hand over to the group, this group of discussants to deep dive into this conversation. Okay, thank you.
All right, so also joining the panel is the MD Gas Tech Energy Solutions, Mr. Toluogun. Thank you, sir. Mr. Moderator, let the conversation begin. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you've had a long day enjoying what NLCGA has to offer. Well, this is the most interesting part of the day because it shows you the ability and versatility and of the most dynamic fuel ever, which is the LPG and its other various applications. So we've seen Mr. Fabumi's presentation, and I'd like to start with the lady on the panel, Michelle. First of all, to tell us what aspect of the value chain your company plays in and how this has impacted on the sector, being a different core area from what we're used to, which is the cooking sector.
Good afternoon, everyone. So not to waste any time, I would just go straight to answering your question. So Portland Gas is in the downstream, basically focusing on compressed natural gas. And as we know today, the cost of your usual petrol has been skyrocketing for a few months. And the government has come up with this initiative spearheaded by the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative to drive the use of CNG in the nation. Now, Portland Gas has come into play as one of the partners to retrofit vehicles, making it hybrid from your usual petrol to run on both petrol and CNG. We also have the CNG factory fitted generators ranging from 20 kVA to 1.5 megawatts. Now, for Portland Gas, in the economy, it has been a roller coaster, if you permit me to say, because for one, we know we as Nigerians are always skeptical when it comes to gas. So most times when people hear gas, they're always scared, oh, we're going to explode and things like that. But then a lot of educational initiatives or programs have been going on to educate the masses more on what exactly CNG is about. Now, CNG, as we know, is methane, which is lighter than air, and unlike your traditional petrol, on any spark or collision, it doesn't ignite. So once CNG escapes, it goes right above the air. And CNG is stored in tanks that are that have gone through certain tests to make sure that they are capable of having of holding the CNG. So it's very thick and it's bulletproof, if I may say so. Now, coming back to the masses, because of how people are skeptical and scared about the gas, the adoption has been slower than anticipated. Although we know that, okay, yes, CNG is cheaper, it is cleaner and all that, it would, bring down your cost of transportation, which will also increase food security, because the cost of transporting your food, say for example, from the north to the west or the south, will drop if your transportation cost reduces, basically. Now, take us back to a few weeks ago when we had the incident in Benin. The incident in Benin drew us a little bit backward because of the explosion. So it made the masses as well even more skeptical with the adaptability. Now, we have tried to preach as much as we can from time to time to say, okay, look, CNG is safe. But all you have to do is go to authorized conversion centers who have certified engineers to carry out the retrofitting process for you. Once you can do that, and then you do daily maintenance on your vehicles, you know that you are safe.
So, I'm assuming you don't carry out the conversions as well, or you do carry out the conversions? Because you said once you go to conversion centers.
Okay, yes, we do carry out the conversion as well. We have about 3 centers running currently. We have 1 in Lagos and 2 in Abuja. We are, of course, planning for expansion in other locations in both Lagos and Abuja, and as well as Port Harcourt.
Okay. So because we know autogas is actually LPG, so do you actually convert LPG as well, or it's just CNG that you convert your vehicles to?
Okay, we do both LPG and CNG, but as you know, currently the price of LPG is on the high, so a lot of people are not really embracing it. They're more of to CNG. I mean, CNG is what, 230 naira for a scum, compared to getting LPG for over 1,000 naira per kg, or your fuel also over 1,000 naira. So CNG right now is the way to go.
Okay, we won't go into the commercial aspect of that. So over to, sorry, I didn't get your name from Gas Tech. In fact, I was just trying to reach Edet to find out why he wasn't there. So can you tell us about Gas Tech and what applications you do?
Okay, good afternoon. Gas Tech Energy Solutions, we started out to provide alternatives to normal electric appliances that you're all familiar with. And one aspect of these appliances that we focused on was on the provision of hot water for both industrial and residential and general commercial usage. And over the years, we've actually perfected this solution. And basically, it works with gas, like that's what we're all there for. And I think in the stands outside, you can actually see some samples at the ASICO stand. Now, we install these appliances in hotels, hospitals, and residential homes. And for instance, a notable institution which we all know about in Nigeria, the Loyola Jesuit College, they have two campuses in Port Harcourt and Abuja. They run on our technology, as well as the new Delbro Hotel, one of the final hotels in Lagos, as Mr. Femi Fanoike did put a few weeks back. They also run on gas technology, and recently Travel Inn, which is a newly opened hotel as well, in Oniru, 115 rooms. There we installed gas-powered water heaters and a gas dryer. Now, if you think about hotels, one of the biggest or one of the highest cost centers for hotels is the hot water system. Now, we've been able to take away this major cost factor from electricity and off diesel power generators onto a much lower priced fuel source, just like the former speaker described it. And in our own case, we know that in order for us to roll out this technology properly in Nigeria, safety is very critical. And that is why we liaise closely with our technical partners in the United Kingdom, Camgas. They even donated a mobile training center to us in Nigeria. And we work very closely with old hands in the industry. I mean, we're talking of the likes of LGV Gas for reticulation services. Also on our team, Mr. Edet, unfortunately, he's not here with us today. He is a UK certified gas engineer. So we make sure we take care of all the safety aspects that are crucial to the installation and running of these appliances. We service them regularly. We try and follow strictly the guidelines established by the likes of GasSafe in the United Kingdom. We monitor everything they do over there just to make sure we're able to replicate it out here safely as well. And like my colleague said earlier, Mr. Busayo, I believe, about electrocution. That's one of the main reasons why we decided to look into this area. Now, when you have a gas-powered water heater, that totally eliminates any possibility of electrocution in the bathroom or any other place where you have moisture of any sort, because the water heaters are installed outside and there is no electrical component linked with it inside the building. All you have from the water heater into the building is a pipe taking hot water into the building. So that eliminates any risk of any fatality happening. I mean, we recorded a few in Dolphin around the time we started off when a lady got electrocuted, and also in Port Harcourt. So we've had this coming up from time to time. I know in Nigeria we're not very good at keeping data. And one other thing people always think about when they hear of gas solutions, they're like, where are we going to get the gas? A lot of people want to liken this to the way gas is being distributed in developed nations, via pipelines and all that. Unfortunately, we might not be able to have that in Nigeria. But you see, with every disappointment, I believe comes a blessing. Now, what we can actually have in Nigeria, we will not have physical pipelines like they have in advanced countries. We're going to have to work with a system of virtual pipelines. And there are a lot of companies that have perfected the distribution of gas by these virtual pipelines. We regularly take gas from ASICO Energy for Travel Inn once every 2 weeks to run their water heaters and their dryer system. So, and this, I believe, is the future of this country. And recently, when the government hiked up the electricity tariff from, I think, 65 naira to 221, in a standard Nigerian home, maybe 4 or 5 bedrooms, where you have five ensuite bathrooms or whatever, and they have to run hot water every day. Maybe they take about 2 showers every day, full capacity at home. But before you know it, you'll be running up a bill of over 1 million naira a year just on hot water running on band A electricity, which is enough to have a central hot water system, gas-powered, fitted, and installed in that same property. So the figures actually tell the complete story. Your payback period is under 1 year. You know, I know we don't have a lot of time on this session, but the last, and I could go on and on, so I think I might have to stop here, but I'll be here to take any questions.
Okay, but before you do,
Yeah.
so obviously this system saves you band A folks a lot of money because, like you heard him say, I mean, water heater takes up a lot of power. Anything that generates heat definitely consumes a lot of power. But one question for you: what have you done about building codes? Because you know, all over the world, building codes have your power utilities. The uptake would be a lot better if this was actually embedded in the building code. So what have you done to have this embedded in building codes?
Well, we have actually tried over the years to work directly with the practitioners in the real estate industry, like the Nigerian Institute of Architects, and we tried working closely with them. We even exhibited at some of the exhibitions. We've gone around trying to sanitize most of the professional bodies about this new technology and the advantage which it offers. And I think it's something that actually speaks for itself based on the safety record of this appliance. We've never had any issue with any of them. We've been installing since 2012. And we definitely try our best to get around to the professionals in the built environment to let them know about it. And we still continue doing this. And that was one of the reasons why we decided that, look, in order for us to even get this thing right, we have to train a lot of people. I mean, it's an employment generator out there. We have artisans all over the place that we can train. We initially, when this plan started, we envisaged that for us to roll out properly across the country, when the full impact of this technology is known, we'll need not less than 30,000 gas technicians installing and maintaining appliances all over the country, because these appliances have to be checked once a year. We have this terrible habit in Nigeria of not maintaining our appliances. When you buy a water heater in Nigeria, you expect it's going to be there forever. But even the manufacturers recommend annual servicing, which we don't do in Nigeria. With gas, we don't do that. You have to follow the strict guidelines. So we welcome any opportunity to work with the professionals in the industry, which we're trying our best. The last time the M&E engineers had their summit in Kano, that was under the past Governor Ganduje. We were actually there. And he was a very good host to us, and he was really interested in the technology and everything that we had to offer. Because, they are very harsh Harmattan seasons in Kano. And that is when they really need a lot of water. It's freezing cold there during Harmattan. That's general for northern Nigeria. And it's a solution that we actually preferred for them out there. So we're rolling out. We're all over Abuja now, Port Harcourt, Lagos, Akwa Ibom.
Okay, so I hope the government folks are listening. Employment generation, a heavy aspect in this aspect of the industry. So I'll go on to Emmanuel. Tell us about your organization and the unique aspect of the value chain that you service and the innovation.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So I'm the MI Director for Rainel Gas Limited. So Rainel Gas Limited, the affiliate of Rainel Limited, focus primarily on market entries on LPG across the entire downstream value chain for storage, logistics, retail, and retail sales as well. So we have a storage terminal through with our distribution trucks we supply to our various plants of about 50 plants across the country, looking to scale that up. Now, for us, how it affects us now is the auto gas play. I'll focus on that. We have a logistics arm, a fleet of circa 500 trucks. Now, in the last, say, 24 months, we've seen diesel costs go up about 300%. So I remember when we were talking about maybe 350 naira per liter for diesel just a short while ago. Now you are looking at anywhere from 1,002 to 1,003 per liter. So the government's agenda, of course, tied to transiting to using our gas as a transition fuel and promoting the use of CNG as autogas is the initiative we've decided to key into. Currently, we have 5 pilot add-on plants, I'll say, because we have a fleet of our stations across the country, about 200. So we have identified 5 pilots plants across the country. So we're having those plants ready Q1 2025, specifically in Ogun State, the FCT, Delta, and Edo states. Now it's two-pronged. For us, of course, is a cost-saving initiative for the fleet. So where you are doing 300%, and of course, fueling being your core cost component for any logistics business, a no-brainer that has to be done. And of course, to align with the agenda, of course, of supporting the government's PCNG initiative, I beg your pardon. So if we're looking at the benchmark countries in terms of the journey we still have to make, where we're looking at benchmark countries that we've identified like China, India, Brazil, Argentina, specifically for those countries, China, India have over 5 million vehicles converted to natural gas as CNG, and servicing those are about 5,000 CNG fueling stations. Brazil and Argentina lower down, they have about 2 million, over 2 million vehicles each converted, and about 1,000 fueling stations. So where the government's target of 1 million, for 1 million converted vehicles, we should be looking at about 1,000 fueling stations. So it's quite a journey that the government, of course, cannot do alone. And of course, everybody within the downstream space, especially the gas and fueling, petrol marketing companies, need to plug in and, of course, support that initiative for obvious reasons. It's cost saving, it has its health and environmental benefits, and it's definitely the way to go for us as a country to utilize our vast gas resource that we've spent the last day and a half going through.
So that's interesting that an LPG company transiting to CNG for the vehicles. How come you are not converting some of your vehicles to LPG as well?
Interestingly, that was our default starting point. I'd go back, say 12 months ago. That was actually the plan, the works. But Michelle touched on that. We've seen LPG prices go up significantly. It's purely a pure market demand and supply play. So there's no subsidy. So you have two moving parts. You have the international market prices, and you have, interestingly for us now, what has caused the disruption, our FX rates. So we still import quite a chunk of our domestic consumption for LPG. So we've seen prices for LPG move similar to diesel, I would say, about almost in parallel. So we've seen them move about 300% from about 24 months ago. So cost-wise, if you look at the cost savings from CNG, where the price is, well, there's a price regime for it because we have that readily available, and because with the gas monetization scheme the government has pushed or is pushing, it's a better win. I think it's a better win for us. And of course, LPG is still in the works as an option, talking of specifically for power. So now that you touched on it, power-wise, because even for CNG and LPG will still be a cheaper option. It's just that the savings you'll be looking at is about, I'd say, like Busayo touched about, if you're looking at, say, a 40% saving on using CNG, then you're talking about maybe 15%, 20% using LPG currently.
Okay, well, let's hope, because sustainability is key in this, in that aspect. And I know you've gone for price, but is that price going to remain the same? We'll know in a few months or in a year. So I'll move to Busayo. So fantastic presentation. Your company has been a pioneer in several aspects in conjunction with some of the other industry players. Power generation, of course, at this point in time, diesel is a no-go area for a lot of companies. You have people in Bande, or well, people who are not in. Essentially, the people in CDE are they're the ones suffering for A and B to get the power. So, what are you doing in terms of power generation? Because your presentation showed a heavy aspect to do with power generation.
Thank you very much. I would like to start by saying that at Asico Energy, we provide cost-effective solutions for our customers. And then when I say cost-effective solutions for our customers, it goes way beyond power. So we look at the whole energy space as something that we need to capture. So when the customer reach out to us to say that he needs this energy solution, we go out to design something that works for the customer. So if I may say, there is no one cap fit all solution that we have. It's always bespoke. It's always customized to address the specific need of the customer. So in most cases, you would see 100%, gas-fired solution, and then in some other cases, you will see an hybrid system that combine, the utilization of solar system and then gas-fired system. So on the power side, to your question now, on the power side, we have deployed a number of solutions to some customers, mostly in the industrial space, and a few of them on the residential side. Our preference is largely for the industry, people in the industrial space. This is not to, I will elaborate it now, to say that we don't regard people in the on the residential side. It's just because of the load pattern. When you are deploying your engines, your systems that you have invested so much in, you would want to maximize your return. So if you look at the industrial side, the load pattern is usually flat. But on the side, the load pattern is like this. During the night, people are in their houses, all the equipment are on, the AC, the TV, the fans are on, so the load is more or less at the peak. But during the day when people are out in their offices, the load dip. So you have something like this in terms of load pattern. So that's not really the best application, so to speak, because you are not able to optimize your system. So it's the reason why we skewed towards industrial application. So beyond that, we have also been able to develop along the value chain such that we, to some extent, are self-sufficient. So how do I mean? As you provide solution towards the end of the value chain, you are also doing backward integration such that you tidy up the supply side. You don't want to have a situation whereby you rely entirely on third party to provide some services for you, and it turns out that the third party, disappoints and all that, and then you renege on your contract. So most of these solutions are backed with contracts that leaves little or no room for you to slack. So you want to ensure that you tie everything is closed out, end to end, and then to a very large extent is within your control. And another thing that we also do on the power side is to ensure that at any point in time we drive efficiency into whatever we do. So most people, if you go out there, you see most people providing solution. They just want to provide solution. Deploy generator and ensure that the generator is on and light is up. Deploy a system, an auto gas system, ensure that you start and the vehicle is running. So we go a step beyond that. We want to ensure that the vehicle is not just running, it's running efficiently. We want to ensure that the light is not just coming on, the generation is efficient. So, it's like a step forward, to kind of like the gas tech man says, try to find a way to look at the equipment that are the drivers, in terms of your load composition, and try to see if you can put them on some other system, maybe direct fire, gas fired, or indirect gas fired, system. So it's part of the things we do. And on the logistics side, we have been able to also bring up some initiatives that drive down our costs. Some years ago, I think this was way before COVID, we embarked on the journey to convert some auto gas vehicle. We converted a number of Toyota Corolla 2003 model, mostly for ride-hailing services, and then they are still running right now. They are dual fuel system, that makes you to be able to toggle between, gas and then traditional PMS. Then also we step further into our main logistics business, the trucking business. You've got to be able to move your product across the country efficiently, and then you've got to put up a system that is very reliable. So we acquired some CNG trucks going to about 4 years now. They are still running. That was in the first phase. In the second phase, we recently acquired some LNG trucks, some LNG powered trucks. I think about 6 of them. That's the second phase. The third phase will be to acquire 10. So the whole idea is to phase out completely the diesel-fired engine, because we've run the numbers, we'll see that we cannot do this business with diesel. It's value eroding. So we've got to move to a more efficient, a much cleaner system that supports the business, numbers that we want to see. And then also on that side, we have been able to also roll out some deployment on the LNG side. So we operate in the LPG, CNG, and also in the on the LNG side. So in a couple of weeks, months, we're going to be deploying some LNG stations. From this station, primarily we'll be able to fill our trucks, and then hopefully attend to the public if there is any excess capacity. But the whole idea is for us to develop ourselves, to be able to compete better than we do currently, to be able to do things more efficiently, and stay on top of the game. And then if there is any excess capacity in the immediate, because we would also like to serve the public. So this is just like the short-term, I will operate now, provision while our tri-fuel terminal becomes operational. Thank you.
So just a quick question. Since you're running your logistics on CNG and LNG, don't you have limitations with some parts of the country at this point in time?
Okay.
Since there are no refueling stations, especially on the highways.
Okay, so one of the limitations that comes with CNG is the distance that it can cover. So because CNG is in the gaseous state, the energy density is not as much as LNG that is in the liquid space. So you've got a situation whereby your CNG truck at any point in time cannot cover beyond 500 kilometers. Even the 500 kilometers is towards the extreme. Mostly you are comfortable around 400, 300. So, but the LNG takes away that, that issue. So it's one of the reasons why every subsequent, infrastructure investment in that space would be LNG. LNG covers close to 3,200. You do Port Harcourt, Borno, to and fro straight on LNG. 2,000 liter truck, like the one you saw at the exhibition stand, that has 2 tanks of 1,000 liters each. You do Port Harcourt, Borno straight, and you come back to Lagos. So that provide us the comfort, of having to look out for refueling station along the line. And the ones that I mentioned earlier on that we are rolling out is also strategically positioned along our route, such that as you are leaving point A to point B, you are sure of driving past one of these stations to pick up, should in case you are not returning back to your original starting point, point of origin. So you are able to pick, and then that brings some level of flexibility in the whole distribution leg as well. So fine, like I said, fine. CNG has that limitation. You wouldn't want to go beyond 400, 300, 250. It depends on the size of your canister, size of the canister that is on your CNG truck. But I think the largest right now barely do around 400. Mostly you see 250, 300.
Okay, thank you. So that's an example of a company that has demonstrated what it has preached for years, using gas as a logistic solution. So you have CNG, LNG, hauling LPG. No one on the panel, I've not seen anyone on the panel with experiences in agriculture. No one to share that. Okay, I have something to share. So back in my previous assignment, we were doing a sensitization and awareness campaign in 12 states. And when we went to Bauchi, typically in that campaign, when we get there, on the first day, we speak to the state government, the governor and the EXCO and the team. The second day, we meet with the industry, the other way around. The first day, we go around the state and see the LPG facilities there. The second day, we speak to the government and the EXCO. The third day, NGOs, market women, and all that. And traditional rulers, local government. And on the day we spoke to the NGOs, a gentleman came up to me and said, I'd like to talk to you about something that I think might be of interest to you. So he told me he was the chairman of the Rice Millers Association in Bauchi with a 1,000 membership in Bauchi State. He'd had a challenge. They typically would use the husks of the rice to power the mill when they're processing. Now, when you see that operation, the amount of pollution that comes with is a big problem. That's the first thing. Second thing is that for him in particular, he was processing 7 tons a day of rice, and it took him 22 hours to do that. So he tried LPG, and guess how long it took him to do 7 tons? Just 1 hour. Unfortunately, well, we did our best by introducing him to my colleague who was in charge of the SMEs and BOI. Unfortunately, I don't think they rendered as much help as. But essentially, what I'm trying to say here is that agriculture presents a huge opportunity for the LPG sector. And it's something that, apart from, if you go outside, you see the truck by Asiko that has the cold room. Part of the challenge for the agricultural sector is that a whole lot of farm produce perishes before they even leave the area because the temperatures that they're left under. If you go to Sokoto, for example, onions, significant amounts destroyed. If you go to Calabar, avocado, several other states like that have significant agricultural produce that needs cold value chain. So it's something that I think NLCGA should revisit again. I know we've tried in the past with Ministry of Agriculture and some of the other agencies, but as usual, we will keep trying and knocking on the doors till they listen. So with this, if there are any questions, I throw this open to the floor.
Right.
Your name, what you do, and who the question is directed at.
Alright, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ikoji Emmanuel from the University of Benin. Permit me to stand and exist. Alright, so my question is directed to Miss Michelle. right, Mr. Chair. So there was a time in the gas industry where there was a transition based on the fact that gas to power, the public and the private relationship, there was a kind of a breakage. The PACL, they were not able to deliver the end of the bargain. So this resulted to Chevron and the likes exporting gases to other countries, thereby it was targeting our.
Let me stop. That's wrong. And there's no need to that statement is wrong. But ask your question specifically.
Alright, so the demand for gas, right? The demand for gas is going to, based on laws of economics, when the demand increases, the prices of goods is going to increase. But sometimes it doesn't usually result to that in Nigeria, right? So what's the guarantee that once it increases, it is going to be that way? And also, I'm part of the planning committee for the National Convention, NLCGA, and some students' grievances is that since the convention is going to be hosting at Abuja, and they will not be able to attend the convention. So the question is that the cost of transportation is as a result of the means of transportation, which is diesel. So once we have the gas-powered vehicle, can we say that it's going to, how viable is it for it to be transported? How viable is the means of transportation for long distance travels? So those are my questions. Thank you.
All right, I thought I saw a hand up at the back. We'll take 2 more questions and that'll be it.
Good afternoon. I am Abubakar Yusuf by name. My question is, given the fact that CNG is more cheaper than LPG, but my understanding is CNG is much more cost intensive in terms when it comes to installation or construction. So what are you doing now to bring down the cost of installation down so that to make it more friendly for those interested in doing the business? Thank you.
Sorry, who's the question for? Who's the direct
Who do you want to answer?
Who do you want to answer the question?
Okay.
Sorry?
Michelle.
Michelle, okay.
All right. Any other hand? Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Fabian Olushola. My question is being directed to the only lady at the item there. Can you tell us the difference between the auto LPG conversion and auto CNG conversion? So in the parts of the canister, is there any difference between the two? And at the same time, in our various plants, is it allowed now to be using LPG or CNG for power generation? You know, during the course of inspection from the regulatory body, they will tell you that you are going to use the power generation that is using gasoline, diesel precisely. Now, before now. But now, when everybody now are switching to CNG or LPG, is the regulatory body now allowed the CNG or LPG to be running those plants? Thank you.
Thank you. Responses from.
Okay. So I'll start with the first person. If I got you correctly, your first question was the guarantee that when the demand for CNG increases, the price would remain the same. Now, like the moderator said, I cannot give you that guarantee. And that's why he made it laughable that in a few months or a year, we would know. But of course, since it's something that the government is seriously pushing and encouraging everyone to embrace, we want to believe that there would be some form of regulation to make sure that it is at least manageable or affordable. And then your second question was, supporting the cost of conversion. So as a partner of PCNGI, they have come up with different incentive programs to support both commercial riders, e-hailers, and individuals. So starting off with the commercial riders, where they get to convert their vehicles for free. So all you have to do is be a registered member of maybe NURTW or NARTU. And then your cost of conversion will be covered. So your kit and the cost of installation will be covered by the government. The second program is for the e-hailers, where they get to pay 50% of the conversion costs. And then they pay the fee of 150,000 naira for the cost of installation, which will bring it to about 675,000 naira. Now we move into the individuals. They also have the program run in partnership with Credit Corp and Mofi, where individuals can take up loans to pay for the cost of conversion, and then over time they can pay what they're owing. I want to believe. Thanks. Okay, and the last man, or not the least, you asked about the difference between the tanks, if I'm correct, of CNG and LPG. Now, when I was speaking earlier, I made mention that the CNG tanks go through several tests. You know, because CNG is like you're compressing 1,000 into one. So the thickness is a lot more, it's a lot more thicker, than your usual LPG tanks. And that can also be reflected in the weight of the tanks. Now, a typical CNG tank, one person would not be able to lift it because it's very heavy. The kind of material that is being used as compared to your LPG tank. So the thickness of the tank is totally different. LPG is lighter, it's your cooking gas. You can easily even lift it with one hand, but for the CNG, it's not the same.
Okay, any more questions? Two people.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. Please, I have two questions to ask. First, I want to an average cost of fixing or converting a normal car from normal fuel to CNG. That is one. Two, federal government has put a lot of incentives on CNG. Every importation that has to do with CNG at a point of a complete vehicle, completely built vehicles that is a CNG is free of duty and VAT. Then how can that reflect on an ordinary society in terms of pricing and the rest? Thank you.
Okay, I think that's the final question. Who's going to answer that? Okay, one more. Okay, all right.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the session. Okay, my question is, if LNG can do more kilometers than CNG, why have we chosen CNG over LNG? Thank you.
Okay, so our moderator didn't want me to go into commercials earlier, but if he permits me, currently the cost of converting a four-cylinder engine is at 1.2 million naira, while for a six-cylinder it's 1.5 million naira.
Okay. You know, I think you need to have several options out there. The fact that you have someone that want to do Lagos to Kano does not mean that everybody is doing Lagos to Kano. Some people just want to commute, from their house to their offices. So what we are saying is that if your business is centered around that long distance, you are hauling over a very long distance, it is best that you pitch your net with LNG as a fall. But that does not take away the fact that you cannot use CNG, especially if you have stations along the way where you can pick up your fuel. So just like you have the electric vehicle, it's like saying that since the option of electric vehicle is out there, you're not going to be paying money, every now and then to buy fuel. Why buying, LNG or other alternative? Why not go for electric vehicle? So it's good for us to have those options out there so that you are able to pick from them and apply them as they suit you. So it depends on what your business require. Then it depends on what is available within your vicinity, where you operate your business. So if you operate in an environment whereby what you can get within that environment are CNG stations, you might want to think of acquiring CNG fleets. But if you operate within an environment where you are able to get LNG and your business cover such extended distances, we want to do LNG. So I think it's a function of what you are doing. What kind of solution are you looking for? And what are you trying to extract from it? That's what determines what you use. So no one is bad and no one is good. They are all from the same source. CNG and LNG are both predominantly methane. The only difference is that one is in a gaseous state and the other one is in liquid form. So no one is bad, no one is good. It depends on your application.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Please, a round of applause to our panelists. Auto, Agro, and Alternate Gas Powered Applications. That has been session 4. Your question was not answered. Okay? Okay, so what we're going to do is this. Whoever is responsible for answering that question, we can always ask that person to interact with you individually. Okay? All right, so what's the question again, sir?
What I'm saying is, with the huge investment that government is doing in the CNG, vis-a-vis the incentives that is putting in that place, the money that supposed to have been used to build infrastructure for the common man or the citizens in Nigeria is now being put to invest in subsidized CNG for the importation of a completely built vehicle CNG and all the accessories that have to do with CNG. Import duty and VAT are all exempted. What I'm saying is, how does these incentives reflect on the prices on this CNG operation and conversion? And how does it reflect on the common man as a benefit to a common man?
Who do you want to answer your question, sir? Okay. Any takers from the panel? Okay. So now we're clear.
I think that question really is for the government. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it should be for the government. You've given incentives on one hand, okay, and not across the value chain. You removed duty, you removed VAT on the equipment to come in. Have you made the gas readily available? The CNG you mentioned runs on one pipeline, Escravos Lagos pipeline. Where's Escravos Lagos pipeline 2? Have you given the same price that you've given one company to all the companies that want to run through that pipeline? Let's not go there. We can talk offline, but it's the government's responsibility to make sure that every aspect. You see, when there's a policy or you want to implement something, do a holistic approach. That way you solve all the problems. You don't solve one problem and think that it will snowball to every aspect of it. You still want to... Well, that, again, it would only reflect on the society if every aspect of the value chain has that incentive that you're talking about. But one aspect has been taken care of. The whole value chain needs to be taken care of. Until you do that, it will not be reflective to the man on the street, which is where you're going.
Sorry.
No, let it. Yes.
Now the beneficiaries of that incentive are the players and the businessmen in the
You put a policy in place. You want to implement it. Okay? It's supposed to benefit everybody. But you've taken one aspect. CNG is viable down south. I wasn't going to go there, but now that you prodded me, I will. The refueling stations and mother stations down south. Where's gas in this country? Down south. But you've removed subsidy on petrol that is everywhere. So, how do you service the north, for example? When there's no gas there, you're going to transport that same gas from the south all the way to the north, to the east, to the west. And you want it to remain at that discounted price. When easily, you could have taken CNG, you do a comparative advantage. CNG where there's gas available, LPG where the value chain is available, which is the entire country. LNG in areas where you can have access to it if you have regasification terminals. Then you'd have had the impact that you're talking about. But you've taken one, CNG. So you are asking because you are from the north. You won't see CNG in your village until they put refueling stations there, but at what price and at what cost? LPG that was there, they should have used, and it would have made a huge impact because all the petrol stations can easily just have one tank and a dispenser, and that would have solved the problem. But you've said it's CNG, so now you're going to wait for them to bring a refueling station that they would import that will cost you, I won't put the figure, but just for you to understand, I'll make it easier. One CNG mother-daughter station is the equivalent of at least 100 LPG infrastructure on the forecourt. So let's close there. We can speak offline. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I want to believe that this is a good point to wrap up this conversation. Yes, there will still be opportunities for individual interactions. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for our panelists. Let's have this organizer on the stage. Thank you very much. Paparazzi, that is your cue. It has been a very, very exciting session. Auto, Agro, and alternate gas-powered applications. Session 4 has been very, very intense.